Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Judge Juan Merchan's denial of Trump's fairly last minute. We're getting on 9 days now, and this was yesterday until the trial, motion to dismiss based on immunity. Okay, we're really coming down to the wire here, and Trump's pulling out anything he can think of to try to delay. He's facing the music actually for the first time. Everything else he's been able to set aside. I think maybe he's come to believe he can do it, but he has met his match pretty clearly in the New York state courts and Judge Justice Juan Merchan. Now, one might have thought, so the latest gambit is to say, I have federal immunity. And, we've seen this from him before. It would involve an argument that everything he did was a core official act, just at the center of what presidents do. They wake up and have a meeting with the Secretary of State and then foment a coup with their marauding followers. He's tried to sort of play word games where it's saying, talking about expressing my concern over having lost that I didn't lose the election, but, that's a complete bogus factual account. And we know it all too well now, not just January 6th, but a couple months of just plotting an insurrection, plotting to overturn the will of the people and resist the peaceful transfer of power for the first time in the history of the Republic. Just really perfidious conduct. Okay, but when he did this in the D.C. circuit, he moved for immunity. We know what happened. The trial judge said, no immunity for you, Donald Trump, but because immunity is a right not to be tried in the first place, you can often get an immediate appeal, the argument being if you were instead subjected to the trial, that's the very penalty that you are supposed to be able to avoid, going to jail as well, but actually having to stand trial. So here, Trump cleverly, what's he got left? He did a motion to recuse that was just a warmed over version of a lousy motion anyway, having to do with the judge's daughter. Boom, that's out. So now here he does. He plays the immunity card, and some of us might have been nervous because what if Merchan denies it on the merits, but can he still bring an appeal and have a delay? And the answer is it doesn't matter because Merchan doesn't need to apply it on the merits. It's a very satisfying kind of opinion because it really gives Trump his comeuppance. The rules in New York say you have to bring your dispositive motions by 45 days after the indictment. Trump waited and waited and waited and waited some more and brought them just less than a month ago. And obviously, the reason for doing it late, if you do it early and it goes against you, you can't delay the trial. So he waited to play this card at the very end to try to get a delay. Well, guess what? Merchan says that is, untimely, and that's a whole separate reason for denying it. So there's no judgment on the merits to then take up. There's simply a holding by a judge, and a judge who has a lot of discretion about these things, saying, you are untimely, pal. We're not going to consider this. Rules is rules. And they really are. He's definitely being, dilatory and gaming it. And in fact, the opinion denying it is like blistering against him. It just calls him out as trying to pull a fast one. That would be the nicest way to put it. The other way would put it as just a liar. I'm just going to I'll turn my head slightly now because I want to read a very remarkable, almost breathtaking passage from the opinion from Merchan denying as untimely a motion for immunity. Okay, so Trump doesn't raise it here. He doesn't raise it there. He doesn't raise it until well past the 40-day period provided by statute. He doesn't raise it in his omnibus motions, in his motions in limine. Defendant's decision is unjustifiable and renders this motion untimely. Further, and as an aside, the fact that the defendant waited until a mere 17 days prior to the scheduled trial date of March 25th to file the motion raises real questions about the sincerity and actual purpose of the motion. I'm just going to repeat that. When judges actually call Trump out for what he's obviously doing, there's just a satisfaction that, gives me a little shiver down my legal spine. Raises real questions about the sincerity and actual purpose of the motion. After all, defendant had already briefed the same issue in federal court. That's the removal motion, and he was in possession of and aware that the people intended to offer the relevant evidence at trial the entire time. The circumstances viewed as a whole test this court's credulity. Like, ooh, I'm not going to quite come out and pull the trigger and say you're a lying sack of shit, but man, you're a lying sack of shit. So that, besides just, vividly pushing back on his raw tactics, it's just, and this we've seen this now in the end of the pregame, which we're nearing. We're almost at, the commercial before the coin toss, where the judge is really, turned against Trump and his counsel. His counsel, remember, we talked about in the previous YouTube, was forced to do this totally intemperate, incendiary accusation of DA misconduct that was all wet, totally manufactured. Merchan doesn't like it, making clear he doesn't like it. So will Trump change his tune? No, probably not. But it served notice that Merchan is going to not have much patience for it. And it's the kind of thing that, if you're the trial court, you're there, you're observing. If you say, I doubt why he was doing it, an appellate division is likely to, back you up, because you're the one who has to handle, lying defendants every day. So he is got, he's a 3 and a 5. He's just about out of cards here to try to forestall the jury selection in the first ever trial of an ex-president. One thing we might want to keep our eyes out for, will he try to fire his lawyer? A time-worn gambit to say, I don't like my lawyer anymore, and you can't make me keep my lawyer. It's actually not exactly true. Only the judge can release a lawyer. It doesn't matter what the, can be a very awkward situation where the lawyer and the client aren't getting along. But he could say, I want to fire my lawyer, and I'm bringing in another lawyer, and here he is, and I'm sorry, we just need 6 weeks to get up to speed. And we'll see how Merchan could handle that, because of, in the mood that he's projecting in these last two motions, the denial of, this one based on immunity, and the previous one where, again, he somewhat questioned his credibility. You could see him saying, this is how judges play tough when something like this happens. They say, got a lot of good lawyers there. I see them right here. I think they're really excellent, really talk up their great professional credentials and tell them, carry on, please. If Todd Blanche is gone, you've got, have 2 or 3. We are starting April 15th. And that, that'd be, again, something that I think would be very hard to reverse on appeal. And if Trump wants to go through with the bluff and lose Todd Blanche, he's going to trial with one hand tied behind his back. So we'll definitely see a couple more shots from him, but I think Merchan is determined to swat them aside and start trial, and start it soon. And so again, the headline here, forget about immunity. You are untimely, so you don't get any interlocutory appeal. Oh, and by the way, your timing raises real questions about the sincerity and actual purpose of the motion. That is judge speak for, man, I don't trust you anymore. Looking if the notion is, some people think this is the most serious trial, or this is about hush money rather than election interference, but putting all that to the side, it's not a good thing to be the first president ever going to trial, having to be there 4 days a week and the like. And it is looking damn likely that is exactly what will be the case with Donald Trump starting in less than 2 weeks. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.